They promised you freedom, but only after a lifetime of silence. Keep your head down, follow the script, trade your best years for a distant reward. And one day, when your spine aches and your reflection shows more silver than youth, they said it would all be worth it. They called it retirement, a glowing mirage at the end of a long road. Rest, leisure, peace. But what if that promise was never meant to free you at all? What if it was just a clever illusion designed to keep you chasing, producing, obeying, always hoping the real life was just one step further? From your earliest days, the pattern was laid out like a perfectly drawn blueprint. Go to school, get the grades, listen, obey, be good, then find a job, settle down, work hard, for 40 years or more. Give your energy, your time, your youth. And in return, you're told, you'll earn your freedom. Except it doesn't quite feel like freedom when you get there, does it? It feels more like being let go, not celebrated, retired, set aside, and not in a cruel way, but in a quiet, polite dismissal. You played your part. The curtain falls. Now please exit stage left. And that's where the real shock comes in. Because you did everything right. You sacrificed. You showed up. You waited. And yet when the day finally comes and the world stops asking for your labor, you find it wasn't the work you missed. It was the sense of self, the identity, the feeling that you mattered. Because when you spend decades defining your worth by your job title, your inbox, your calendar, your productivity, what happens when those things vanish? You wake up in a house that feels too quiet. You scroll through hours that feel strangely empty. You try to relax, but no one ever taught you how. Because you weren't trained to be free. You were trained to be useful. The system prepared you to function, not to flourish. It gave you tasks, not meaning, roles, not purpose. And so when it's all over, the spotlight doesn't just fade, it disappears, and with it, a part of you goes missing too. You start to realize retirement wasn't a reward. It was a timeline, a way of managing your usefulness, of phasing you out gently while making it sound like a gift. That's the cruel genius of it. It doesn't feel like exile. It feels like achievement. Until you're standing there, unsure who you are without the work. The truth is, the script you were handed wasn't written with your soul in mind. It was written for the machine, a system that saw you not as a being, but as a function. And when the function ends, the identity crumbles, because no one ever told you how to exist outside of it, how to live without being productive, how to find joy without first earning it. And so the crisis creeps in, not financial, but existential. You're not broke, you're unanchored, untethered. The very system that promised you freedom has left you standing alone with a life you never truly lived, wondering where it all went. And here's the thing, they never really meant for you to question any of it. From the moment you were old enough to learn, you were taught to obey the structure. Sit still, follow directions, complete the assignments, pass the tests, then pick a career. Clock in, clock out, every day, every week, every year. And if you did all of that, they said, then maybe one day you could finally live. But life isn't something you start later. It's been happening all along. While you were chasing deadlines, while you were optimizing performance, while you were checking off every box in someone else's plan, you were alive, but not really living. And the deepest tragedy? You thought that was normal. What if the real deception isn't just about retirement? What if the real lie is that you ever had to wait for freedom in the first place? What if freedom wasn't a finish line, but a state of being. One you could have entered at any moment, if only you knew how. But you weren't taught how, because a free person can't be managed. A free person doesn't just follow orders. They ask questions. They seek truth. They move differently. And systems don't like that. So they built a world where freedom looked like something to strive for, not something you already had. Even now, when the career ends, you're not really released. You're just shifted into a new role, a consumer. The retirement industry welcomes you with open arms, selling you dreams dressed as products. Cruises, condos, memberships, investment portfolios. You're told this is your time. You've earned it. But what they're really offering isn't freedom. It's more structure, a new plan, a new routine, still controlled, still scripted, just with softer edges, because you've been conditioned to crave order, to need plans, to fear the unknown. So they sell you a sanitized version of liberation, one that feels familiar, predictable, safe. But deep down, something inside you stirs, a quiet discomfort, a sense that this isn't what freedom was supposed to feel like. And if you dig just a little deeper, you'll see the machinery behind it all. The education system wasn't just about learning, it was about training you to be punctual, to comply, to perform. The labor system took your best years, measured them in output, and called it success. The retirement system? It simply nudges you gently off the track when you've given all you can give. And through it all, your life has been charted, not by your own compass, but by a structure built to standardize, to optimize, to extract. You've been living a life that was never fully yours. And now, when the noise stops, the silence asks a dangerous question. Who are you really? Not your title, not your resume, not your retirement plan. You, at your core, the one who once dreamed, who once wondered. The child before the roles, before the metrics, before the long march through adulthood dulled the fire in your eyes. Most people never get to meet that person again, because they never stop long enough to remember. But you can, even now, even here, because that part of you, the untamed, unscripted you, has been waiting, patiently, quietly, for the day you stop performing and start being. But first, something has to die. The old identity, the mask, the belief that your worth is measured in usefulness, that your value comes from service, that to be loved is to be productive, that to matter is to be needed. And in the space that follows that death, something else is born. A self not built on tasks or titles, but on truth. A self that remembers how to wonder, how to feel, how to breathe without earning it. A self that doesn't need a reason to be alive, only the courage to be. But the machine doesn't go down without a fight. It keeps trying to pull you back, with fear, with guilt, with 1,000 reminders of everything you're supposed to be doing. It whispers that rest is laziness, that stillness is waste, that freedom is dangerous. Ignore it, because what you're really being offered is a return, not to structure, but to soul, not to rules, but to rhythm. A chance to reconnect with the you that was never about performance, the you that isn't waiting for permission anymore. And this isn't about rejecting money, or plans, or comfort. It's about reclaiming agency, living on purpose, feeling the moment instead of preparing for it. Spending a day not because it's productive, but because it's yours. And when it comes to meaning, real meaning, it doesn't come from bucket lists or big accomplishments. It comes from connection, from presence, from the simple act of seeing and being seen, of sitting with someone and not needing to impress them, of walking without a destination, of laughing without a reason, of being fully unapologetically now. So stop rehearsing, stop waiting, stop postponing your soul until the calendar tells you it's okay. Because the calendar doesn't know you, the machine doesn't see you, but you can see yourself, and you can start today. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you decided the waiting ends here. Freedom is not a finish line. It's a way of walking. It's the breath you take without apology, the tears you let fall without shame, the time you give to the things that move you, even if no one else understands. So retire, not from work, but from the illusion. Retire from the need to be useful. Retire from the fear of not doing enough. Retire from the idea that your life is something to be managed, because what you've been looking for isn't out there in some perfectly planned future. It's right here, in this moment, in this choice, in the beating heart that still remembers how to live. And maybe now, for the first time, you see it clearly. The freedom you were promised wasn't waiting at the end. It was buried underneath the noise all along. Beneath the deadlines, the roles, the decades of being who you thought you had to be. And the quiet truth is, you don't need to start over. You just need to return to yourself, to what felt real before it was labeled productive or practical, before life became a checklist. It's not too late, not by a long shot, because the moment you choose presence over performance, awareness over autopilot, that's the moment you begin. And you don't need a title or a 5-year plan to claim it. You just need to stop waiting. Not for permission, not for security, not for some perfect timing. Just stop. Be here. Feel what it's like to take up space without justifying it, to rest without guilt, to want something simply because your soul stirs when you think about it. Because this isn't about fixing your life. It's about finally living it, not as a role, not as a function, but as a full, flawed, beautiful human being who has nothing left to prove, just everything left to feel, to notice, to love. That is freedom, and it's been yours the whole time.